Fight back! Stand up! 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 Fight back!
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Steve Gribble. I'm an MPS teacher. I've been honored this year to be the MC, and I'm going to take this privilege and really go with it. I've been an MPS for 17 years. Been a union member that entire time. Been a union leader, collected about 200 signatures in the recall, if that counts for anything. I still don't know how that happened. But since Act 10, unions are even more important, even though we don't have them as per se. But they're even more important because we need to band together without the formal union part. So this is, and of course, being an MPS, we need what the other kids get. And I'm going to leave it there for right now, but we need what the other kids get. That's what I'll say. I'd like to welcome everyone formally to the 131st anniversary commemoration of the Bayview tragedy. We have been celebrating this event since 1986. That was the 100th anniversary of the tragic event that occurred on the 5th of May in 1886. On that day, nearly 1,500 Milwaukee workers marched on an iron and steel mill located on the lakefront in Bayview, seeking to carry a general strike to the workers at that plant. In the days before May 5th, the strike had closed virtually every major factory as part of a nationwide effort to bring about the 8-hour workday. The Bayview plant was the last major employer still open for work, and the marchers wanted to shut it down. They found instead the state militia waiting on the mill grounds. When the marchers were perhaps 200 yards away, the militia captain ordered his troops to fire. At least 7 persons fell dead or dying. Thus ended the bloodiest labor disturbance in Wisconsin's history, and began a new chapter in the ongoing struggle for a more humane workplace and a more just society. The struggle for justice continues to this day, 131 years later. Realizing that the quest for justice is ongoing and never-ending, a diverse group of Milwaukeeans has commemorated this historic event every year since 1986. This event is sponsored by the Wisconsin Labor History Society, but every year this program is planned by a committee made up of members of the Labor History Society, the Bayview Historical Society, and area residents, of which I am one, a couple blocks down. In particular, we'd like to thank Rich Hinderholtz, a retiree of the CWA, Local 4603, for supplying this amazing sound system that you hear me. It's actually making me sound pretty good, which is, I appreciate it. Thank you. And we thank all the other volunteers for their time and effort as well. There are many volunteers. This year also, we tried something new. A group led by Greg Bird formed a march to this event, coming from the approximate location of where the marchers were killed on what is now South Bay Street and East Lincoln Avenue to this location. And we welcome them. Let's give them a round of applause too. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. And at the close of the program today, we'll say this again at the end, but at the close of the program today, you're invited to the Bayview Historical Society, to the Beulah Britton House, which is just a few blocks down here, block and a half, at 2590 South Superior Street. There will be refreshments there. You can go inside the house. It's gorgeous. And there will also be more music from Craig Simpson and some other musicians that are going to be there as well. So it promises to be a good time. That said, I'm going to introduce our first person today, Craig Simpson. He is one of Milwaukee's most popular folk singers. I told him that on his way in. He said, "Are you sure?" I said, "Yes, you are." So he's a retired teacher. Craig, So Craig is a retired MPS teacher. I hope to be one of those someday myself. Craig has said, "I will sing Larry Penn's Ghosts of Bayview," as well as a few other songs as part of the program. And he's honored beyond words to fill in for the late Larry Penn. If you remember Larry Penn, fantastic Milwaukee icon and treasure. As many of you know, Larry performed Ghosts of Bayview at our first event in 1986, and he joined us every year until his death in October of 2014. I was lucky enough to hear him a few times. Let's go ahead and welcome Craig Simpson. Thank you. So I don't know if you know this, but some of Larry's songs are actually in the Smithsonian because of their importance to labor history and American history. So look it up sometime. I think you guys might have the lyrics to this song, so sing along if you know it, and sing quieter if you don't know the melody, but give it a shot anyway. Years were round and the yellow the page. History of labor don't mellow with age. Blood of the workers will always run red when the winds blow a time for a change. The ground here's hallowed, it's haunted, they say. The ghosts of the workers that came here in May. When the kiln was seen as a duty by some to take back the 8-hour day. Here in Bayview it's all quiet today, but you can still hear them call for an 8-hour day. The sound of the rifles has faded away. Horns of the rolling mill gone to decay. And only the halls where the puddlers met still stand like an 8-hour day. It's time once again for us to unite. It's time once again for labor to fight. Tell me, what will you do with your roses and red if they take back the 8-hour day? Here in Bayview it's all quiet today, but you can still hear them call for an 8-hour day. All would labor for more than for bread. All would give up our union for death. Blood of the workers will always run red when the winds blow a time for a change.
Today, I speak for the ghosts of Bayview. I was here on May 5th, 1886. I had to be. Working 10 to 12-hour days was killing people and had been for decades, and now there was a national effort to change that. Workers needed a voice in such basic issues as the number of hours we'd work every day. And so 12,000 of us chose May 1st, 1886, as the day to go out on strike for the 8-hour workday, the 8-hour day movement. That's what we called it, that's what it was. And the movement had grown strong, we were winning. And on May 2nd, it was a Sunday afternoon like today. We marched down Grand Avenue to a huge rally of workers at Milwaukee Gardens up on 14th and State. Powerful speeches were made that day by leaders like Robert Schilling and the socialist Paul Gratkow.
The 8-hour day! 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 Fellow citizens! Accomplishments. We come here to celebrate May 1st, the day we no longer toil for more than 8 hours in a single day. Last Friday, April the 30th, 6,000 people left their workplaces to demand the 8-hour day. On May 1st, the Central Labor Union and the Knights of Labor joined to close all the North Side foundries, bakeries, and breweries, swelling the ranks of our strikers to over 12,000. Today's parade saw almost every man and woman Milwaukee participating. Tomorrow, the Polish workers of Chicago, Milwaukee, and the St. Paul Railway have vowed to close the shops and to close the Alice Reliance Works. We even expect to close the giant rolling mills of Bayview before the day is finished. So I ask you, why all this fuss? Why are we walking away from jobs that provide bread for our families? The better question is, why should labor fill the world with wealth and live in want? To work like a slave, see your wife and children dressed in rags, to rise at 4 a.m., work for 12 hours, throw your bones on a tired bed at night, to live without leisure, without rest, is not a living. It's dying a slow, lingering torture until exhaustion takes its toll with the loss of a job, a limb, or a life. The hours of work must be shortened. 8 hours for work, 8 hours for rest, and 8 hours to do what we will. The 8-hour day.
We strikers were in the thousands, but there were powerful people against us. Politicians and community leaders like Milwaukee Mayor Emil Walber, Edward Alice, the owner of Alice Reliance Works, but the loudest of them all was our governor, Jeremiah Rusk.
We can have no sympathy with socialist voices that deny the right of private property. They are as un-American as monarchy and as treasonable as secession. Republican institutions and individual liberty go hand in hand, and they must and will be loyally maintained. These strikers would destroy justice and liberty. The present agitation is not a question of wages and hours, but of human rights and manhood. Of the owner's rights to run his factories, and the workers' rights to sell him their time and labor. When one person engages to work for another, the product belongs to the employer. The workman's claim ends with the receipt of his stipulated wages. Every citizen must and will be protected in the management of his business. Here in Milwaukee, you harbor agitators who have been driven from the fatherland for violation of laws. Now, they believe they will be permitted to violate the laws here, to incite mobs and riots. Such men should not be permitted to promulgate their doctrines in this glorious state of Wisconsin among her intelligent, law-abiding people. The intelligent people of Wisconsin will never permit the red flag of anarchy to float within her borders. And so I say, to the commanders of our militia, whenever the time comes for you to tackle a mob in this state, I'll be there, and you'll get your orders from me.
The next day, May 3rd, we set out to close the factories.
8 hours for work!
8 hours for work!
8 hours for rest!
8 hours for rest!
8 hours to do what we will!
8 hours to do what we will!
The 8-hour day!
The 8-hour day!
The 8-hour day!
The 8-hour day!
When we got to the rolling mill, we were met by the militia, made up of grocers, storekeepers, and saloon owners, people we thought were our friends and neighbors. Governor Rusk had sent them to Bayview to stop us. After firing warning shots at the rolling mill gates and office, around 350 militia entered the grounds. With no provisions, we dispersed. But not for long. On Wednesday, May 5th, 1,500 of us started out early for the Bayview Mill. We promised to close the mill for good if the owners wouldn't respect our demands. We knew that the politicians and the mayor were against our 8-hour movement, but we didn't imagine the lengths to which our governor would go to stop us. None of us was armed. 4 abreast, we walked down Mitchell Street with a banner and a picture of a clock face set to 8. We chanted,
The 8-hour day! The 8-hour day! The 8-hour day! The 8-hour day!
From St. Stanislaus Church, we walked toward the mill, but the militia was waiting for us. When the governor was notified that we were heading to the mill in full force, he sent these orders to the militia captain: fire on them. And so the captain told his forces, pick out your man and kill him. Shoot him where he stands. Seven were shot in the street by fellow citizens for marching in line.
Casimir Judah, age 30, was carrying the red flag at the head of the parade. He was shot in his left cheek and his left shoulder. 2 bullets pulled away his jaw. He died shortly after.
Albert Erdman was shot through the abdomen. He was killed at the age of 19.
Martin Jankowiak was 25 years old. He was shot through the chest. Extreme-unction was administered by Father Vansky to the dying man.
Frank Kunkel, 69 years old, lived in a little shanty over on South Bay Street. He was shot in the heart while he was feeding chickens in his yard. He left a wife and a child. He wasn't even in the march.
Johann Mosca was shot through the bowels. He died in great agony and left a widow and one child.
Frank Nowarchek was a schoolboy, a bystander, age 13. He was shot through the upper abdomen with a stray bullet.
Michael Brukowski was shot in the breast and later died. He was 40 years old, he had a wife, but no children.
And now, as every year, could we have a moment of silence while Anita Zeidler, as she has every year, places a wreath on the monument. While Steve comes back, I'll just take a minute to point out that there are 7 trees planted behind me in honor of each of the 7 victims.
I do want to add on to what John said, that the trees were planted for the victims, but this is the first year in many, many years where they've actually bloomed on the actual day of the reenactment. So I think that's really something worth highlighting. All right, we are very, very, very fortunate to have an excellent guest speaker with us today. No pressure. We have Ms. Luz Sosa. She has a fan club. Luz was born in Asunción, the capital and largest city of Paraguay in South America. She moved to the United States with her family when she was just 16 years old. And even though at that time she did not know how to speak English, through hard work, she successfully finished her last 2 years of high school at Whitefish Bay High School. In 2007, she graduated from Marquette University with double majors in economics and political science, and in earning 2 master's degrees. Wow. Impressive. After graduation, Luz worked for NAMWolf, a non-profit organization that helps minority women and law firms thrive and succeed. Luz also worked for Northwestern Mutual as a financial representative, and then as a general manager at Helios, a manufacturing company of solar panels. Although her private sector jobs were good experiences, she longed for an opportunity to positively influence students, and with that in mind became an economics instructor at Milwaukee Technical College, MATC, where she still teaches to this day. Yeah, I didn't enjoy the private sector either, so... a year ago, she started working for Citizen Action of Wisconsin, where she is in charge of helping the Latino communities on issues regarding healthcare, economic equality, in the community, giving her time and support wherever she can. She is a member and treasurer of the American Federation of Teachers, Local 212, the union at MATC. And she is also the executive vice president of the state union, AFT Wisconsin, and board member of the Wisconsin Labor History Society. And on top of all that, she is the vice president of Raise Wisconsin, an organization that champions the fight to raise the minimum wage for the working class. And last but not least, but certainly probably the most important, she's the proud mother of Maddox, who is 5 years old, and he's around here somewhere. I think I just saw him. Anyway, let's please welcome Ms. Luz Sosa.
Hello, Milwaukee! Hello, Bayview! Thank you so much for having me here today. It's really an honor for me to be here today. I'm actually a resident of Bayview, so this is very important to me to be here today. So just like Steven mentioned, I was born in Paraguay. I grew up in Argentina, and I came here at the age of 16. Just like many of the people who have died here today, I'm an immigrant. And it is very important to say that, because nowadays we have an issue where immigrants are being scapegoated. And there is a reason for that, right? There is a reason for that. And that is because unity creates power. Union creates power. And that is what corporations have done in the 1970s, in the 1980s. They said, you know what? We need to come together, and we need to unionize ourselves to make sure that workers have no more rights. And we need to make sure that they are divided, and they are divided and conquered. Divided and conquered. And they created their own unions. And they said, we need to make sure that most of the wealth that is created in this country goes to us. But we need to convince them. We need to convince the workers that divided they are better off. That their individual person is more important than unity. And for that I need to make sure that we divide the people. How do we divide them? Very easy. They are different colors. Let's divide them by race. They have different religions. Let's divide them by religion. They are from different countries. Let's divide them by different countries. Right? It's very easy to divide people. Once we do that, we can conquer them. And since the 1970s, 1980s, unions have been decimated over time. Because workers started to believe that, oh, my individual person is more important than the community. I'm more important. I work hard, but my partner doesn't. My neighbor doesn't. And they were successful. And what do we see today? Today we see that Americans work more than any worker in all the industrialized countries. Can you believe that? Americans work on average 47 hours a week. 85% of men and 66% of women have said that they work more than 50 hours a week. So the struggle of 8-hour workdays is here today, right? That's the struggle we have here today. And not only that, I like statistics, you know, I'm an economist. There's one statistic, of all the statistics I read today, there was one that really came to my mind. And that is that in the 1950s, okay, if we look at the 1950s compared to today, Americans work 400% more than Americans in the 1950s. 400% more. And we can do one of two things. One of two things. That means we can work 11 hours today and have the same standard of living as the 1950s, right? That's one thing. We can work 11 hours. Or we can have 4 times the standard of living as in the 1950s. Do we have that? So what do? The formula has not changed. The formula is still the same. We need to organize, we need to educate, and we need to agitate. And not only that, but we need to unionize. And by that we need to be one community. One community. We also need the general strike. I'm getting there. There are several things that we need to do, but first we need to come together as one community. I might be from Paraguay. There might be Mexican people. There might be people who are from different religions. But we need to come together as a community. That's the first step. The second step, we need to make sure that we vote. We have to vote. Our numbers are ridiculous compared to other developed countries. 50% of people didn't vote in the last elections. Some people like to say Trump won by more than 50%. That's not true. If 25% is what he got. So we gotta vote because that's where our power is, right? But not just voting, because guess what? Our politicians are bought from both sides. We gotta vote, and we gotta elect good people. We have Mr. Goyke here, Representative Goyke. We have Representative Siniki. We have Tony Zielinski. We have great politicians, right? But we need more of them. We need to multiply them. And for that, I'm asking you today that you run for office. You, the people here who are getting educated. You, the people who care. You have to vote. Also get elected. But not only that, we gotta elect you. And that means we gotta knock on doors for you, we gotta give you money, and we gotta make sure that we do everything in our power so that we can get you elected. We need to stop having corporations owning our politicians. That needs to happen today. And for that we need also politicians who care about workers. Because workers, there's something very particular about workers. That we never ask where you come from, what your religion is. We don't care about any of that. We only ask you whose side you're on. Whose side are you on? And that's why workers need to come together. And we need to elect politicians who care about workers. And for that, we need a politician who cares about the strike. We need to have a right to strike again. The supposedly governor at the time was talking about laws. Why are they breaking laws? Well, laws are meant to be broken when they are not just. And the strike is our best tool to get what we want. We gotta be able to strike. And if that is in the law that is not allowed, that law must be out. We gotta be able to stop the economy as it is, so we can get what we want. 95% of our income goes to the top 1%. 95%! Where is that income coming from in the first place? It's coming from you! Our sweat and tears, and us spending most of the time working. We want to spend time with our families. We want to have time off. We want to have maternity leave. Why is it that we don't have those things? And I'm going to tell you something. The change has to come from us. The change has to come from us. We need to believe that we deserve time with our families. We deserve time off. Okay? Because a lot of us love working. We love it. I'm telling you that. I work more than 70 hours a week. Because I love it. Right? But it should be a choice. It should be a choice. And today I'm telling you, we have to change. We have to become better at just relaxing, seeing the sun, enjoying a beautiful day. And we deserve that. And rights are never given to us. We have to fight for them. 7 people fought for it. And today we're losing it because we're not concentrating on what we need to do. We gotta come together, and guess what? We need to say, enough is enough! Enough is enough! Enough is enough! Enough is enough! Thank you so much.
Let me introduce my good friend Ken Germanson, who has chaired the committee and planned this event. Ken Germanson.
All right, Ken.
It's getting harder every year to get up that step. Oh boy. But listen, I thought Luz's speech was, right on the mark. It's just the kind of spur that we all need. And we're very happy that she's part of the board of our organization. Now, what I do need is a hat. And I think some of you know what this is all about. Frankly, this is where I put the bite on you, because one of the problems is we're a totally voluntary operation, but we need money to put things like this on, and this event costs us money every year, which the treasury of our society is willing to help out with. But we really do need your help to be able to continue events like this and some of the other activities we do. One of the things that we've really been dedicated to throughout the 36 years of our history is to try to get the teaching of labor history in the schools.
Yeah!
And we have been sponsoring labor history essay contests for all those years, where we award kids cash prizes when they write about the topic of unions are important to me and my family because. And Harvey Cave, who drove down from Green Bay and is on our board, he chairs that. He's chaired that for all 31 years. Yeah, and we're getting some pretty good stuff, aren't we, Harvey? Yeah. So we need support for things like that. We support National History Day exhibits for the middle and high schoolers throughout the state, and they get prizes for themes with a labor theme, and that's just part of the stuff that we do. I want to also draw attention to my representative, Christine Sinicki, who was one of the authors of the bill in 2009 when we had a different governor. And we passed the Labor History in the Schools bill. And it was through Christine and a bunch of the others that we got that done. There she is. So anyway, folks, please, there'll be some various hats going around. Are the folks ready for the hats? Somebody take this hat, and let's just fill these hats to the Union maid, who never was afraid of the goons and the ginks and the company thinks and the deputy sheriffs who made the grade. She went to the Union, hunger was called, and when the company boys came around, she always stood her ground. Oh, you can't scare me, I'm sticking to the Union. I'm sticking to the Union. I'm sticking to the Union. No, you can't scare me, I'm sticking
the union till the day I die. The Union maid was wise to the tricks of the company spies. She never got fooled by the company stool. She always organized the guys. She always got her way when she struck for higher pay and showed her card to the National Guard. And this is what she'd say: oh, you can't scare me. I'm sticking to the Union. I'm sticking to the Union. I'm sticking to the Union. No, you can't scare me. I'm sticking to the Union. I'm sticking to the Union till the day I die. Okay, now old Larry Penn, he liked to talk about the controversial third verse of this song, and I was watching an old clip of him. He said he didn't really know if Woody Guthrie wrote that third verse or didn't, but he figured he could have. But right about the time, and I think it was one of the last times Larry was up on the stage, he wrote a special verse to our new governor, Scott Walker, and I thought I might update it a little bit, so here we go. The women of this land, they marched into the stand when Donald Trump and his minions tried to stop the people down. They had their picket signs, but what was on their mind was he could take that bottom line someplace where sun don't shine. Oh, you can't scare me, I'm sticking to the Union. I'm sticking to the Union. I'm sticking to the Union. No, you can't scare me, I'm sticking to the Union. I'm sticking to the Union till the day I die. All right. Well, it's a little warmer than last year, but it's not much warmer. Trying to hang on to this guitar pick while I play. So let's do a great rendition of Solidarity Forever, and I know you all have the lyrics there on your yellow sheets, and I might just step back and let you sing it as loud and proud as you can. And I want to tell you that we do have PK Harmony, Peter Lee and Karen Levy playing, and also Andy and Paul. Andy being Andy Jelly, a young woman of great talent, and Paul Smith. And David H.B. Drake and I will probably kick it off with just a few tunes, but just turn it over to some new people over at the Beulah Britton House. Please come on over for some conversation and some social good times together. So let's start out, do this Solidarity Forever, and then we'll head on down south a couple blocks. When the union's inspiration through the workers' blood shall run, there can be no greater power anywhere beneath the sun. Yet what force on earth is weaker than will be the strength of one? For the union makes us strong. Sing it out. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the union makes us strong. They have taken untold millions that they never told to earn. Yet without a brain and muscle, not a single wheel will turn. We can break their haughty power, gain our freedom when we learn that the union makes us strong. Oh, wait a minute, son. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the union makes us strong. In our hands we hold the power greater than the holy gold, greater than the might of armies magnified 1,000-fold. We can bring to birth a new world from the ashes of the old. For the union makes us strong. All the way to D.C. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the union makes us strong. One more time, here we go. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the union makes us strong.